Okay. So we will get to the permission thing part of it, as I sent you the consent form later, but I just want to record this if I can. And we're going to cover those rules. So that's the by way of introduction. Here's the schedule. We're going to do the presentation next Monday at 6 p.m. Oh no, this is today, 6 p.m. So we're doing the storytelling training. On the week of the 22nd, one of our facilitators is going to call each one of you to help you with your story if you need it. Obviously, if you I just think use that time to read this and practice a story and get some feedback. And it's just a way of moving the whole process along. So that's the week of the 22nd. On the 1st, we're all going to reconvene at this same Zoom location and read your first draft. And that shouldn't take more than 30 minutes. And we'll give feedback. So the more feedback people give, and then the better. And that's also a way of practicing reading the story as well as getting feedback. If we need it on the week of the 8th, March 8th, we'll have another phone call to finalize your story. And you can decide whether you need that time or not. But on the week of the 15th, we're going to record your story on Zoom individually, and then we'll compile them into one video recording, which we'll show at the annual meeting. And then on the 27th, which is a Saturday at 10 a.m., if you can make it, then you can just sort of be there and see the annual meeting. So that's a lot. Any questions? How does that? Yeah.
Where's the meeting at?
It's on Zoom.
So I just, Gizam over here, I just put the link to the annual meeting in the chat.
Thank you.
On it in the chat, you can register.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I already did that. Thank you.
And Mark, I have a question.
You bet.
We didn't do a doodle poll or anything. So is there anybody that doesn't work our next meeting, March 1st at 6 p.m.? Does anybody have a scheduling conflict with that date and time?
As long as it's like a half hour to an hour, that's good for me.
Cool. I was hoping, thank you, Gizam. I was wishful thinking on my part. So, okay. Any other questions? All right, then that's the schedule. Quick review of the 7 steps. We'll cover this later in more detail, but just to give you a sense of, you got it from your materials. There's an introduction, step 1. What happened that brought you to NAMI is step 2. What helped from NAMI was step 3. How are you different today? What's the general need or the problem? What will help others? And what can your audience do? What are you asking from them? Let me point out something that steps 1 through 4 have to do with your story. When you get to 5 and 6, that's where the story pivots from being just about you to being about the whole of everybody else. It's a way of moving up the advocacy ladder from being an individual advocate to being an advocate for populations or the general public. So this is why this advocacy story has a specific kind of structure, is that 5 and 6, then we talk about the general need for everybody for the kind of thing that you're illustrating. How does that sound to you? I think it'll become clear when we get into the sample story, but and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the ask. That's a little bit of a weird thing, but we can cover that too. So this is just a bit of a review ahead of time. Okay, if there's no questions, let me cover a little bit about what the annual meeting is. Every year, our members and non-members convene to fulfill our bylaws requirements, and that's by law. Every organization that considers itself to be a membership organization by state law has to have an annual meeting. So this is our fulfilling that requirement. And at that time in our bylaws, we elect the officers for our board. So that's what we're going to do at that time. So that's one reason to have it. The other, of course, is to advance NAMI's mission, of education, support, and advocacy. So the big picture is we want to educate our audience about our work. That is, we want to enhance our identity about who we are and what we do. The second thing is we want to recruit from them, support from them, financial support, volunteer support, word of mouth support, just their support as community members to spread the word about NAMI. So we want to recruit them to help us. And that's why it's an advocacy story, because we are actually advocating for NAMI. And then we want to also encourage, entice, and inspire that there's hope. They're not alone and they can make a difference. That's just basic stuff you all know. So how about anything else that I can include in this list that you can think of as a reason for having, these stories at the annual meeting? Andrew, can I call on you?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about like my first reactions to those 7 steps you mentioned, and I came to NAMI. Well, I took peer-to-peer about a year ago, and by that point I was a lot of the way through my recovery process, and so I never actually found NAMI until I was through the worst of it. And so I'm thinking like probably more of my story and the big picture that I try to portray will be how meaningful the work is as a volunteer. And so that's just what I'm thinking about in terms of how I'm relating to the big picture. Like,
cool. Yeah. So you could be actually saying, you want to recruit. I mean, you're almost saying you want to recruit other volunteers, if I hear you right. You want to recruit people to join in and work with us.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that's great. There are lots of reasons. One that people have brought up that I didn't include was stigma. They want to reduce the stigma.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's a lot of reasons that we might want to do this, and so that's just that's one. Thanks, Andrew. Anybody else want to mention anything that comes to mind? Okay. No, going once. All right. So I want to pitch a little bit about why we focus on stories. Honestly, it may seem obvious to you, but I think it's always good to emphasize this, because NAMI's core advocacy tools is stories. And that's how we advocate for others. It seems like I got a lot of advocacy in that line. Need to clean that up a little bit. So NAMI is as you know, NAMI is a grassroots membership organization of people with mental health conditions and their supporters. All NAMI programs are based on the personal experience of volunteers. And that's very much unlike professional programs, professional organizations. We appreciate treatment, obviously. All of us really think treatment is important and essential, but NAMI is different than a treatment organization. Our personal experiences and stories make NAMI unique. It really defines us. Your stories about NAMI can help listeners see us up close and give them contact with us. Your stories of experience change people's minds and motivate them and educate them. And advocacy stories, as I said before, focus on an ask. And that's because advocacy is really oriented toward people, getting people to take some kind of action and join us, support us, contribute to us, spread the word about us. It can be a lot of things, but advocacy is about action, and that's why we have the ask. Andrew, I'm going to take your story about what moved you to become a NAMI or stay a NAMI leader. Can you started it a little bit about when you started. Can you say a little bit more about why you became a NAMI leader?
Yeah. So I moved back to Michigan after being away for a while, and during that time, my diagnosis is social anxiety disorder, and I really didn't seek help for a very long time. And once I was feeling better, more capable in social situations, it was just clear to me that it would have been helpful so many years ago to know that I wasn't alone and to have someone, especially my age, who I could relate to and ask questions of. And so it just seemed obvious that this was a good thing to do and
Yeah.
it could help someone. And
Yeah.
so there's some like basic humanity and compassion there. But it's also, for me, it was feeling like I was through the worst of it and feeling like I had some responsibility to help someone else get through it too.
Cool. Cool. Give paying forward, as they say sometimes. Thanks a lot. Yeah. So I just wanted to get the kind of your ideas flowing about a story and what moved you to become, what all of you moved you to become advocacy leaders. Now, this is the part that I said I was going to talk a bit about. And this is really important because we take this very seriously. And I'd like to read the just actually read, the consent form. Make things go away. Okay, can you see the consent form now?
Bottom half of it, yeah.
Yes?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just going to read through this if that's okay. NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, wants your help in explaining what NAMI Washington has meant to you in order to inspire others to help NAMI also. Your participation in our story sessions is entirely voluntary and confidential. You can choose to participate as you wish or not at all. You may withdraw your consent at any time. We ask you to keep confidential what's discussed and disclosed in this group by other group members. And although we do not expect this information to come up, we are obligated by NAMI policies to report suspected abuse of another person or any other criminal activity. So that's a little harsh, but it's always really important to identify the boundaries here. In case you do consent to participate, NAMI Washington wants you to know that we'll make a recording of our story sessions and a written transcript in order to help us evaluate this event and to fulfill NAMI's mission of education, support, and advocacy. The recording and your comments will be kept confidential, and your name will not be associated with your comments in any publication unless you give a separate written permission. We respect your right to privacy. And you can even, so obviously that's really, really important. NAMI Washington also seeks your consent to follow up and keep in touch so we can complete your story and ask you to participate in other events like opportunities to tell your story to help others. And we also want to tell you about NAMI programs and opportunities by phone or email. So, oops, darn. So here are the 4 things that I'd like you to check and make sure that we have agreement on. 1, yes, I understand my participation is voluntary and confidential. And if you have any concerns, there's my number and email. You can contact me at any time about anything that comes up regarding this. Yes, I understand that my story will be recorded today. And yes, I understand that my story in its final form will be recorded and shown at the annual meeting only if I give permission. I understand that my story will not be published in any other way unless I give explicit permission for that use. So we're limiting this specifically just to the annual meeting. Unless you give us permission, we will not be appearing on our website. It won't be appearing on any other form or in writing or any other way unless you give us permission. And then this says, yes, I can agree that you may contact me. So what I'd like to do right now is just, if you would just put, an okay in the chat box, and then we can go ahead. And if you have any questions, ask questions. I know that a lot of permissions, nobody reads them. So that's why I wanted to take the time to really read this. Okay. Anise, entered the waiting room. Okay, good. He's had to go out and came back. Okay, any questions or concerns?
No,
Okay, then we will proceed. I will get your, this is not the last time we'll ask you for this. And before it actually goes to the annual meeting, we will ask you again. We really take this very seriously. I mean, obviously, it's important, so. Okay, so we'll get a formal okay from you by email. So this is just summarizing, you know, the harm from your participation is unlikely, and it may give some help to you. You can control any use of your stories, and we must ask your consent for each time your story is used. You can change your story at any time, and you own your story. So, okay, great. This is really, I don't know if everybody does this, but this is really standard in the world I come from. So that's why I think it's so important. Okay. Here's a list, a summary of what makes advocacy stories more effective. And do's and don'ts. And this really also focuses a lot on the ask. You know, focus on your ask, be concise. And the opposite of that is don't be rambling or unfocused with. In other words, not having an ask is an invitation to be rambling in our world. Be sincere and enthusiastic, but be cautious about being overwhelmingly emotional. Any of us can reach an area in our lives which will cause us to be overly emotional, cry, get upset, angry, etc. There's certainly nothing wrong with those emotions, but in an advocacy situation, when you're asking somebody to do something for you, then the story, when a story becomes overly emotional, it becomes about you rather than about the message. So that's one of the differences in an advocacy story is we really want to persuade people about our message and persuade them to help us. The third thing is be empathic with your audience. And of course, being a know-it-all or dominating or any of these other characteristics neutralizes that. So you really, it really is important, especially in person, to be try to be empathic with your audience. The fourth area is be motivating and relatable rather than shaming or judgmental. That's pretty obvious. Although there's a lot of times when you really want to shame people and be judgmental. It's just that there's nothing wrong with that particularly, in my opinion, but it's just not going to persuade people to help us. And advocacy is really about persuading people. And then be hopeful for recovery as opposed to being despairing or overly critical. So I think you can see from this how important the ask is. And I sort of think of the ask as a key to shortness. And shortness is really important in these stories, not just because we only have a few minutes for each of us to tell our story in the context of the annual meeting. Shortness really in an in-person, when you're telling your story in person, shortness becomes an invitation for the listener to ask you questions. When you be short and concise, then the listener is having to work that much harder. That's good. You want them to ask you questions. And if they ask you questions, you know you've got them. You know you've captured their attention. Stories are key because they engage the listener, and short stories are especially that. So the ask becomes the bridge from the listener to the storyteller. Because you're putting them on the spot. You're saying, I want you to do this. Will you do it? And then that draws them in, hopefully, if they've been listening at all. So how about that? Does that make sense to you all? Any other do's and don'ts that you can think of? Renee, how about you? Can I call on you to?
Sure. I'm actually a little bit confused because I didn't realize that this was quite so focused on advocacy.
Mhm.
And from my perspective, I'm not sure what my ask will be.
Okay,
I mean, I've already worked on my story. I've already, after I talked with Pat, I kind of understood it was 3 minutes or less. I tried to, put together, because I
yeah,
understand the concisement of, the time frame and everything. So I'm not really sure about what my ask will be, but
yeah,
certainly the do's and don'ts are very well presented here, because, I've heard some people in their emotionally overwhelming time frame, and certainly that time for them is more of a time for them to get support, not for them to ask for advocacy.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Let me tell you that this is ideal. This is like I'm giving you gospel according to NAMI advocacy, so to speak. If yours, as I've said, your story is your story, so you can pitch it in any way you want. It's you don't worry about the ask. I'm just pitching that as a way as a way to get there. You know. So I really did mean when I said your story is your story, that we're not going to censor you or make you come up with an ask if it doesn't make sense to you.
No,
So,
it just, I wasn't aware that, I mean, I thought that it was more of a presentation of how the groups are impacting people.
yeah,
I wasn't thinking that when we're presenting, that we're presenting to a group who needs motivation, because actually they're already all there. And
yeah,
they believe in the process. They've all been there in some way, shape, or form on their own, or they believe in the mission,
yeah.
and so they're already there. So I'm just a little surprised
Mm,
at that. Certainly, that's not the whole thing of the story. The whole
sure.
thing of the story is how much it's helped you, as far as I understand, and that's kind of how you get to the ask, right?
Yeah,
Mark, can I jump in?
sure.
Renee, hi, Gizem here. We've never met.
Yeah.
So you're actually super on point. You didn't misunderstand anything. That is the goal of the stories for the annual meeting. If it helps, you can reframe it, because that's what I'm doing in my head, as not introducing people to NAMI for the first time, but like re-energizing them and
Exactly.
re-motivating them and telling them, listen, this has been my experience, and let me tell you about it, and let me tell you about why NAMI Washtenaw is so amazing, why this program has meant so much to me. This is my story. And by doing that, you
Yeah.
are being an advocate. You
Yeah.
are doing advocacy. So it's like tying the two concepts together, if that makes any sense.
It does. And certainly, my story that I've already put together could be very easily woven into that last bit of ask of, how,
I was,
if this is about support for the group, yeah, every parent, I'm there. Even when I'm not in a struggle moment, I know that me being there and that group being there for those people is everything. I mean, I know when it's been like, it's the first and third Monday, right? Like, oh, really? Gosh, we really need that extra meeting. It's a 5-week month, and I really needed that extra one. I don't want to wait till next week to talk to people again. And Allison and Susan have just been wonderful about that. So I can certainly work that into my last little bit about, how that makes me feel, that the groups are available for parents and for people who love people who are in situations.
There you go.
Cool. I know this is a little strange. I don't want us to get caught up in the vocabulary. So, however, I think Gizem, you got a perfect take on it. And thank you for clarifying. Okay, so let's go ahead. If anybody else have any concerns or comments? Okay.
I think what, if we go back to that, I think what Gizem said was spot on, but I also think that Renee, hi Renee, I'm Tracy, no matter what you're saying at the end of your story, it's advocacy. No matter, you said you've already got your story, that is probably already advocacy. You just
Yeah.
didn't have it put that way. He just didn't put it that way. So
Okay.
it probably already is written like that.
Okay.
He just.
Okay, good. Thanks, Tracy. Okay, so now I'm gonna go, and this is just this little sign gives the kind of variety of asks that you can make, advice, help. I mean, we may ask people if they're with their thoughts. What's your advice for us? How can you help us? Give us support, give us some tips, give us assistance or guidance. So these are all in the vernacular, what we're talking about asks. So here's my restatement. My ask, my wish or hope, you can use those words too, is that you and the audience who have listened to my story will feel inspired to join us and support NAMI Mental Health in our work to improve the lives of people with mental health conditions. So you can use that, you can trim this and fit it to whatever you want. It is truly your story and your ask or your wish or hope. So, okay. So now I'm going to shift to the story and we're going to read the sample story aloud. If we were in a class like we usually do it, we would time it, but I assure you it's not going to be more than 3 minutes. At least that's my hope. Okay. Criminally. Here we go. So here's the sample story. I know you guys have probably started already, but what I want to do in this, and we don't have to read through the whole story, we're pretty good on time. I really want to be for you to be looking at what are the words that really catch your attention. What words or phrases? Let me get my strong words or phrases, ones that are vivid, descriptive, and even emotional. So be thinking as you read this, what are those words and phrases? Because those are the things that are going to strike people the most and be most evocative. In my term, would be evocative, but would be evoking some kind of desire, motivation to help. So who wants to start? Andrea, can you start with my introduction?
Sure.
Okay.
Just making sure. Okay.
Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it. I pulled it up on my other email so that I could read it from here.
Cool.
Okay. My introduction. Hello, my name is Sarah and I live with bipolar disorder. It has caused a lot of chaos in my life, and for 7 years, in my life for the last 7 years. And I want to tell you about the help I have received from NAMI Washtenaw 8-week peer-to-peer program that I participated in September 2020. I want to encourage you to get involved in whatever way is appropriate for you and your situation. NAMI peer-to-peer or P2P has dramatically changed my life, and I want more people to know that a program like this exists.
Okay. Marianne, can you do the next section?
Yes, I will. What happened? I was lost and alone. No one understood what I was going through in my life, and I was in desperate need of a community where I wouldn't feel alone. One day, I was sitting at my psychiatrist office waiting for my appointment, and I saw a flyer for a mental health education class, which piqued my interest. I looked it up online and decided to give it a shot.
Great, thank you. How about Liz, can you do what helped?
Yeah. Oh, can you scroll back up?
Oh, sorry, did I go too far?
Oh, yeah. Yes. No, I can see it. Sorry. What helped? I called the office and they were so friendly. They helped me register for the next peer-to-peer class. Everyone in the room that first night of class understood what it is like. Finally, I found what I was looking for. In peer-to-peer, I learned how to increase the number of supports in my life, learn better communication skills and breathing exercises to de-escalate myself and be in the present moment.
Great, thank you. Andrew, how I'm different?
Sure. Today, I feel proud to say I am in recovery. Recovery for me is not a destination, but an ongoing process. After having to take a break from my undergraduate degree, I eventually went back to school and successfully graduated from my program. I have a reliable, close-knit support system in my life and plenty of skills to utilize for future rainy days.
Great. So as I said before, these 4 sections are entirely about you. And now we shift or pivot into what is the need or problem? Gizem, can you?
Number 5, what is the need or the problem? I know from my own experience the difference NAMI programs can make in people's lives. I intend to volunteer with NAMI Washtenaw to focus on making sure the word is spread so that other people can get the help that I got.
Okay, and Renee, the summer 6.
What will help others? Because all NAMI programs are offered at no cost to participants, all that needs to be done is to spread the word every way possible. I do have some ideas about this that I'm eager to share.
Okay, and I'll just read the last one. My ask, if you're beginning to think like I do about how important it is to spread the word, you can help with this by choosing to either donate your time or treasure, or attend a class or support group yourself, or just share your personal story. Anywhere it'll make a difference. Can I count on you for your support? Okay, so that's it. I don't think it took more than 3 minutes. I hope not. Let's go back to the beginning. This is what we do in the training. In the introduction, what phrases or words stuck out to you that made you really resonated with you, or maybe what could be stronger? Marianne?
Well, I think to me, the introduction was the main paragraph of this whole thing because it very clearly stated 3 objectives. 1, I want to tell you about the help I received from NAMI. The second one is I want to encourage you to get involved. And the third one is I want more people to know about a program. So it's
Yeah.
very clear, very succinct, and very just right there.
Yeah, thank you. And that's, I don't bang on about this, but that telling people what you want them to do right away is in the introduction, that is, give them your ask, is a really important thing because it makes them focus on what you're really saying. Now I know what they're going to ask me to do, and I can listen. I'm not worried about what is this going to mean or what, it's very clear. So thank you. Yeah. How about what happened? Let's go on that one, and then we'll move on to actually writing your stories. What are evocative words? Liz, how about you? Can you kind of pick out a few phrases that grabbed you in this section?
Sure. I wanted to also add the first section, the word chaos caught my attention.
Yeah.
I feel like it would spark empathy with the audience. And this part's what happened, lost, alone, feeling desperate. All these phrases just portrayed how mental health struggle can devastate a person, and that kind of planted the seeds or there to really highlight how NAMI and the program help.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Great points. This section on what happened is the place where you really want to create some tension. You want the person to really be concerned. And one of the phrases in one of the original stories that we use is, I worried a woman was talking about her son, and she said, I was worried. I was so worried. I never thought I would have the concern that I had that day that my son would end up in jail or detention. I mean, the level of tension that creates is really powerful. And so this is the area, this is the place where you really want to grab them. You want to, we don't often think of producing this level of tension as good, but this is exactly what motivates people and gets them to listen to your story. So, okay, so the point I think we've made is that there's a lot of evocative language in here, strong language, And the more the better, it's emotional, but it's not too emotional. It's clear and succinct. People know where you're going. You can see it's very comfortable. It's tense but comfortable because you know what the person's going to ask, and you know what the purpose of the story is. So I want to go on about this. This is the time of the training when we normally would say, let's take 10 or 15 minutes and for people to start writing their stories, because frequently we don't pass out the information ahead of time. Do you want to take that time now? We can certainly do it, and you can use the thing at the end. Oh my goodness, what am I doing here? Help. This thing at the end, which is the story practice sheet. This is all in Microsoft Word, so you can use this and actually type over this stuff if you want to do it that way. What's your pleasure? Do you want to take about 10 minutes and work on your story a little bit? And then I'd like to have people read part of what they've gotten so far so we can get some ideas.
Do you want us to do it as well?
Sure,
or-
why not? I think that's good. So let's do that. Let's take about 10 minutes and
We're working with somebody to do a story, right? Am I,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, sure,
Okay.
go ahead. Okay, so let's take 10 minutes, work on your story, and then we'll ask a few people to volunteer to read them at about 6. Let's do 6 minutes. With 6:44 now, let's go to 6:50. I don't want to go beyond an hour, so we'll have 10 minutes to read some stories because it sounds like some of you have already started. So let's take 6 minutes to 6:50, and then we'll reconvene. Is that okay?
Yep.
And
Okay.
Mark, maybe if anybody is, stuck or concerned or has any questions, they can ask at this time too.
Sure, absolutely. I'll open up. I will share this, and that way I can monitor the. Oh Christ! Stop share. I can monitor the chat box, so you can chat or. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Okay, that's
That's
6:50.
my reminder for the other group.
Okay,
make sure
Renee,
I'm not-
you gotta go. I see you in your thing, you gotta go. You wanna give us a few, a start on your story?
Yep. I was just crafting it to put the ask in at the end. What part do you want me to, I mean,
Well, why don't you start at the beginning, and it should have your ask in there as well, so.
okay. Hi, my name is Renee Bach, and I'm a 60-year-old mom who's living in support of my daughter Rachel, who's 18 and was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder as her main diagnosis in January 2013 or 2019. She experiences depression and anxiety and lives with eating disorder as her main symptoms. I found my way to NAMI via my aunt, who is on the board in her own community near Chicago and has had a wonderful experience in that she found that she was not alone when she first reached out to NAMI 2 decades ago, when she was looking for support in dealing with my cousin's mental health struggles. I've been attending the Families Together group with Susan and Allison ever since then, and I've also recently been taking the Family to Family class that opened on Tuesdays last month. The information that's provided in both the Family to Family class and Families Together group has been very helpful, but the fellowship that I feel is the most important and valuable factor for me. I can know that each of the people who are in both groups are understanding of where I've been and the path forward, and each of them has something to say that helps me in my perspective and my journey moving forward on the path in support of my daughter. Right now, my relationship with my daughter is based on the promise that she made to me to read my texts that I send about once a week. I want to reach out every day, but I understand since coming to the group that supporting my now young adult daughter is different than the support I could provide to my daughter even last year, and that just being there for her and available is what she's asked for, and I'm trying to respect those boundaries. The support that I receive on that topic at the Families Together group helps so much to remind me that I'm respecting those boundaries she's asked for and still really getting the most basic information that I need to know that she's safe. I keep coming back to the meetings and classes because I know that I'm engaging in a group that will be there for me when I need it again, and that in the meantime, I can be a support to the other parents by being there and participating at the level that's comfortable to me at any given moment. The message of not blaming ourselves for the illnesses that our loved ones are experiencing, and the reminder that self-care is the foundation of being able to be the most supportive of my daughter when she comes to a crisis point, are the two most important messages that I carry away from each time that I listen in on a meeting, and those two messages have been invaluable to me in my own recovery during the process.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you, Renee.
Yeah.
So let's tell Renee what we liked about that and kind of the words that struck us and stuck in our minds.
Boundaries and
I
self-care.
Yeah, go ahead, Gizem.
Yeah, I just said boundaries and self-care really stuck with me.
that's what I was gonna say.
Good. Yeah. I loved how you changed how you're adapting. This has helped you adapt to your daughter a year later, or as she's more mature, what she's asking for. I thought that was really good and poignant. I could really relate to that.
I wish I would have, my aunt actually, I mean, if the one thing that I would do to talk to people about, and I don't know if it's still the same, but when I first looked for NAMI, when Rachel first became ill and went to the hospital, I couldn't find anything on the website. And so I gave up. And it was only the next time that she went in the hospital that my aunt said, you got to go to NAMI, find it.
Yeah, I
and
love that.
to look, and I would be happy to help with anything like that I could in refining that information outflow. Because the first time I looked for it, I couldn't find what I was looking for. And I didn't think Washtenaw County had a good NAMI program. And
Yeah.
now I find that they have an excellent one. It's just the first way I looked, I didn't find it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. That really helps. Actually, that helps us. I know what we have to focus on. So
The point is to let people know Washtenaw County does have a great program.
A great
and
program, really.
Yes.
I mean, huge compared to other counties, most likely.
It's huge, and there's a whole lot of people that want to help.
And I just wonder how many other people might have given up like I did the first time, because of course, in that moment, you're in a crisis yourself anyway. You don't know where to turn. You're already struggling and hurt and having so many emotional things happening to you. So,
Mhm.
you know, in finding the best way to put that information out there, you know, that's the one thing that I would ask for is
Mhm.
for,
Mhm.
you know, that to be the focus or a
People-
focus.
Mhm.
maybe.
Yeah, good for you. That's perfect. Actually, so many people have said that. How can we get can you help us get the word out about NAMI?
Well, I know I spread the word every
Yeah.
chance I get.
I do
And
too.
I've encouraged a lot of friends of mine whose children are
Okay.
having, you know, small struggles with COVID and mental health. And that
Okay.
maybe not hospitalizations, but you know, they're experiencing something different that they weren't before. And I say, go and find NAMI in your community. So
You can buy a shirt.
I'm definitely, I mean, I know that the classes and stuff were free and I haven't done it yet, but I figured before the meeting, I'd be signing up as a paid member right away. So.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Renee. I'd like to call and ask one other person. I think that's about all we're going to have time for. Andrea, I want to give you a chance because we haven't heard too much from you. Have you written something you'd like to share with us?
Me?
You can say pass if you want.
No, I just, it's a really rough draft, but I'll read it.
I know. Go ahead.
In summer of 2012, I was diagnosed with chronic depression, social anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and borderline personality disorder. This is not who I am. I repeat, this is not who I am. This is only my diagnosis. Today, I want to share with you my story, and that's all I have so far.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So what do you like about people?
Right?
I'm sorry. Can you say what you like about Andrea's language and her words? What struck you?
The part about
She is made clear that we are not our diagnosis.
Yeah. Thank you.
Andrea.
It's not. I'm Tracy. I'm still the same person. I have a mental disorder, depression and anxiety, but that does not make me.
Andrew, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that Andrea, I could feel your resilience through Zoom. It was really powerful.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Andrew. Okay. How about someone else? Who wants to volunteer? Don't be shy. Mary Ann, do you want to say something?
Well, mine's rough too, but Andrea's was not rough. It was a really good start. So let me say that. I come in as a into this from family to family, basically. So I'm here more as the parent. And I just have an introduction done. My name is Mary Ann Buckley, and I live in Ann Arbor. I first became involved with NAMI in 2015 when I attended Family to Family at the suggestion of a therapist at UNM's Depression Center. I live in support of my 50-year-old daughter who has bipolar and anxiety disorders. I feel strongly that the healthcare system makes it very difficult for family members to support their adult children because of limitations based on providers. I want to let you know how NAMI's Family to Family changed my life and my thinking so that if you or anyone you know live in support of a loved one with a mental disorder, hope is not lost.
Oh, wow.
That's
Oh, man,
great.
that's great. Thank you.
Oh my
All I
God.
need
So what language, what were the words that stuck out in your mind?
is
Liz,
hope.
can you respond?
Yeah, I love that she specifically talked about she wants the other family members to feel that they can learn and become more empowered, supporting their loved ones.
Yeah,
Real struggle.
thank you. Okay, we are just at the end, bang on to 7 o'clock. Thanks so much for participating. What we've made an assignment, and I'm just going to read them off so you can know who to expect. Andrea Anise, who has been silent down in the corner.
Yep.
Anise is going to take
Yeah,
Andrea. Okay. So I'm going to take Gizem and work with Marianne. So I'll be calling you guys. Tracy, she's going to talk to you, Andrew, for the next step. And then Barb is going to work with Liz. And I think that's it. So that's who we've assigned. If that's okay, if you have that's not written in stone, and we're just trying to move it along and help. So I really appreciate all your participation, and it's been really fun, and I hope you've enjoyed it too. So I think
Thank
we're
you.
done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice to meet
Thank
all
you.
Thanks,
in
guys.
person.
Nice
Thanks,
meeting
everyone.
you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Is there a
Okay.
time limit that we're supposed to call? Like, do I call Andrew tomorrow, or is there a time limit of?
What you and he set this up on your own. So there's
Okay.
he has his email. Just send him, Andrew, an email, and you can set up a time which is convenient to you both.
All righty,
Okay.
thank
Cool.
you.
March
Okay.
3rd is the next time we meet, right?
What? Yes.
March
The next
3rd.
time we meet as a group will be the 1st.
Okay, put it in your
and-
calendars.
And that will be, to read the full Zoom, and then we can get a really nice flavor, and we can practice. Practice is so important on these advocacy stories, because you want a dramatic reading, not too dramatic, but just dramatic
Okay.
enough.
Do we still have the drop-ins?
Say what? Yes, that's still going on. All the other meetings are going on. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Can you please send that calendar out to us in an email?
Absolutely. I will send out all the slides.
Okay, thank you.
oh,
Cool.
I'll see you guys again
Thanks, Barb.
soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. See you guys. Thanks, Anise.
I thought that went really well.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Gizem.
it was
Yes.
wonderful.
Oh, we've got the coaches here. Yeah, good. You're my sponsors.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it went really quickly, but I think we hit the major points. Don't
Yeah,
you?
I was afraid when Renee brought up the point, and I was really afraid of the whole ask thing to begin with, but I was
Mhm.
glad that it was brought up. And I think
Mhm.
what I said resonated, and then you made it make sense too. So I think we handled that part well.
Yeah, cool.
Clicked.
Yeah, you guys did a great job.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Thanks so much for your support.
Bye. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.